Hi, I'm at the Etrailer. If you have a 2024 Nissan Kicks and you're looking for something that's going to be really easy to take on and off your roof for those quick vacations or something just to transport that extra gear that won't fit inside of your vehicle, then the SeaSucker Roof Rack is going to be a great option for you. So let's check it out. And what really makes these ones different from some other options out there is that most roof racks will mount to some set location on your roof, whether that be your flush rails or if you have a naked roof, it'll mount to your gutters instead. Now, what we have today is actually some suction cups that are actually grabbing on and securing to the roof itself. And this way of mounting is what makes it a really quick and easy way to use. To show you what I'm talking about is if I come over here to this tab and I pull up on it with my thumb, that's going to let air come through and then this will detach. I already loosened up the other side, and there you have it. It's already off and ready to take off your roof. And then you can even take a step further and then detach these two sides. And with these two sides detached, you can store it in the hatch area of your vehicle. So if you ever are in some low clearance areas, or maybe you just don't want this on top of your roof, you can easily store this when you're on the go. Now we can take a closer look at the individual parts of this kit. So the bar itself is going to be 48 inches. So that'd be how much space you really have to mount your accessories to. And it's not going to have any additional features to it like some more premium options out there. But what I like about this is it's super simple and it's going to allow you to work with most clamp-on accessories since it is a little bit smaller. Now if you have any T-channel accessories, they will not work with this. And if you take a look at the tower, the foot, or the SeaSucker itself, this is what makes this kit unique. It's basically going to be a bracket that grabs around that round bar, and then you're going to have the foot pad underneath this. Now this can be adjusted, and what I like about this is it's a universal fit. So it will work with any type of roof as long as you don't have anything underneath it impeding it from fully sucking down. And the way you do that is just by applying pressure and then pressing on this button, and you'll see it will start to slowly secure itself into place. And you know you're in the clear when you can't see that orange section any longer. And I actually really do like the way this fits on top of our roof today. And that's mainly because we don't have a whole lot going on up here. The only things that we have going on are going to be these ridges on the roof itself. But as long as you can avoid those, then this will fit on top. There's one other location I don't recommend putting your SeaSuckers, and it's going to be anywhere past this front crossbar, because this is pretty much the max distance forward I'd like this. Anywhere past that point, this really tapers in very quickly. So trying to get both these pads placed on there flush is going to be very difficult and you won't get a good fit. But if we look back here now, we can get a few measurements to see how high this is going to stick on our roof. The first measurement I want to get is going to be the total height. So this is sitting up by 6 inches, which is a little bit high. So what I'd recommend doing is just taking the total height of your vehicle plus your crossbars. And if you have anything on top of that, include that too, so you know what areas you can make it under. Now for the minimum distance you have beneath your crossbars, that's going to be on the rear crossbar since this is a little bit lower. And that's going to be about 4 inches, which is plenty of space. Most accessories you have will have no problem sitting on here. Really, pretty much all accessories should be fine as long as they don't use T-channel accessories. And if we look back here, you'll notice we do have plenty of space underneath this rear crossbar. And this is going to be the minimum distance beneath the crossbar at just over 4 inches, which is plenty of space. Pretty much any accessory or clamp-on accessory you have will work with these bars and not make contact with your roof. And this is going to have a pretty hefty weight capacity, but what's probably going to be your limiting factor is going to be your roof. So what I'd recommend is just checking what your roof is rated for and then going from the lowest rated component so you don't damage anything. Now in my opinion, I think this is a solid option if you're just more so getting started into rooftop accessories, because it's going to be a little bit more affordable and it's going to be really easy to take on and off, and it's going to be very universal so you can even put it on different vehicles. Now if you're pretty much an avid roof rack user, you're using a lot of boxes, baskets, or anything else like that constantly, then I recommend more of a custom fit because it's going to look a little bit nicer and it's going to give you a little bit more peace of mind. Because something to think about with this is these buttons you will have to be vigilant about, because what can happen is they can loosen up, and if you see that orange popping out at all on these, then you will need to retighten them. But again, that's really easy to do. All you have to do is press that button a few times to make sure it's completely secured. But again, I think this is a solid choice, and if you are curious to see what this installation process looks like, just stay tuned. We'll walk you through the process. To begin the installation, I like to lay everything out. So we're going to have the SeaSuckers themselves, and we're going to have the round bars that go along with them. Now yours might already be put together. If they're not, they're going to be coming in 2 separate pieces. And I also recommend grabbing an Allen key and a tape measure and something to clean the top of your roof off. You'll also probably notice I already have my rear crossbar installed, but it's going to be the same process for either one, just making sure the one with 4 suckers on it is on the front side. We can start off by connecting the bar. So you're going to have this one side, it's going to have these threads inside of it. The other side is going to have it popping through, and we're just going to connect those. Just going to thread this into place until this is completely on. This might take a second, so just keep going with it and have patience. Then you eventually reach the point where this feels pretty tight. You can't tighten it anymore. From here, we're just going to grab our SeaSuckers, and the way you want to do this is making sure that these buttons are facing in the same direction on both of them. So since on my left-hand side, these are facing forward, I'm going to make sure these are facing forward on this side too. And you're just going to slide this round bracket around the bar, like that. If it's too tight, you're just going to grab that Allen key, loosen up this bolt that's holding this down. That'll give you a little bit more room to work with. And then you can slide this into place. Now this doesn't have to be exactly right to begin with, but once you have it on this side, you'll just repeat that same process on the other side. We're going to start to tighten these on, but I don't want to tighten them all the way. Just enough where it's not going to slide in place. And I recommend having them both on for this point, because if you tighten one on, you put the second one on, it could be at an angle. You want to make sure they're as even as possible. So with them both on, I'm just going to apply pressure to the back end of this, because we're going to have this nut, and I don't want that to pop through. And that bracket that we tightened up earlier, we're going to go back to that bolt now, then tighten this down somewhat. And once this feels like it's on there pretty good, then we're going to repeat that process for the other side too. Before we get that crossbar up here though, we want to clean our roof. I already cleaned one side of it, but that process is pretty much just getting a wet rag or whatever you have on hand and getting off all the dirt and grime off of here. The reason why you want to do that is because if there's any dirt underneath those suckers, when they take out all that air, that can actually scratch up your roof if there's debris underneath. And really you can see right here, all that dirt and grime that's on this now, if that was underneath that sucker, that could have damaged your roof. So once you get your roof completely cleaned off, then you can put them on. We can finally put this on top of our roof, but there's a few things we want to do first. We want to take off these end caps on your suckers and get it up there. And then you want to make sure these buttons are facing behind you. Once you've done that, we're going to place it on the area that we just wiped down. And of course, this isn't going to be perfect to start off with. We'll have to adjust this later on. Right now, we're just roughly setting this into place. And from here, we're going to establish where exactly we're going to place this. So something to keep in mind is this ridge. Since that goes up on our roof, and if we try to put it here, it's not going to give us a good fit. So instead, I got to pick either side. So I can either try to move it inside of it, which this does feel pretty level. I think I do go up a little bit, but I also don't like how close I am to this rail. So instead, I'm going to bring these to the inside of that ridge, at least for my front side. Since this ridge kind of goes more towards the center of our roof on the back half, I'll probably keep these SeaSuckers on the outside of it, like this. I'm going to start by loosening up the SeaSuckers again. You can even loosen up this bottom bracket too. That's just going to affect the way this rotates if you did it to. Right now, mine's pretty good. I'm going to just bring in the other side and make sure we're at a good point. And this is roughly where I want it to be. Now that both sides are loosened up, I can really just slide this in and out to fit my needs. So what I want to do from here is find the right place for those foot pads. So what I'm going to do is measure from the top of my windshield to where the front of that foot sits. And then I'm just going to get the same measurement from both either side. Now if one's a little bit off, all I simply have to do is either adjust it pushing it forward or back some. When you have these feet sitting the way you want them to, making sure they are sitting flat, then we can make sure our overhang is going to be the same on both sides. So you're going to just measure from the beginning of that bracket to the end of this crossbar. Check the other side to make sure it's the same. If it's not, you simply just need to adjust this either by pushing in or out until it's even. And now we're going to actually start installing this completely now. And to do that, you're just going to apply tension or pressure to the top right over your SeaSucker. And then you're going to press this button that has that orange space on it. You want to keep pressing that until you can no longer see that orange. And honestly, I like to keep pressing it until it's pretty close to the base of that opening. And then you're just going to repeat that process on the rear sucker. And then you'll be going to the other side. Once you're finished with this front crossbar, you move over to the rear crossbar, and it's going to be the same process. Now, just make sure there's nothing interfering with those pads, making sure it's completely flush underneath them. And then you have this spaced out or measured approximately to work with whatever accessories you're trying to haul. And now we can just come back through, kind of give it a good pull test, make sure this feels secure and it's not going to come up. And that feels pretty good. And now at this point, you can pretty much load it up with whatever gear you have and take it for a ride. But that's just a look at the installation and some of the features of the SeaSucker Roof Rack on our 2024 Nissan Kicks. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.